What's going on, guys? We are live on a couple different pages, Facebook and Instagram, and across Be a Tactical Leader and Night Protection. So I wanted to just take a few minutes of your time and talk about a couple different things that have been on my mind. We've been traveling the last couple weeks. We went to Orlando for a few days for a conference. Then we went to Hawaii and went through LA and saw all sorts of different perspectives of things. And it's kind of interesting to see like the media blowing this up the way they have. This whole coronavirus situation where people are bunkering down in place and quarantining themselves. Now, to be fair, Heather and I are quarantined right now. We are doing our best to not spread anything if we did catch something on the flights. So we're being very cautious about it. But one thing I found really interesting is how many businesses are just like stopping. They're not progressing right now. The individuals are not progressing right now. They're not doing anything to better themselves during this 2 weeks. It looks like there's at least going to be a 2 week period where you're stuck at home, you're quarantined, and I know Mayor Bottoms just put it out where we're shutting down hospitality, restaurants, hotels, clubs, bars, all that's getting shut down, right? Well, one thing I really find kind of aggravating about all this is that it's preventable, right? All this has been preventable, and I don't think businesses understand that yet, where this you can't gear up for this type of reaction, right? You can't gear up for the coronavirus, even though we've had H1N1, we've had all the other flus, all the other bugs, ever since Y2K, when we've had things like explode, where people are like, oh no, we are going to shut down the world because of this new latest pandemic, right? Well, I think this has become, at this point, not necessarily predictable, but you can gear up for success on this, right? You can do something in your organization to prepare for this where you don't have to shut down operations to the magnitude that everybody is knee-jerk reacting to, right? So what I mean by this is a lot of what we talk about is being proactive in safety and security. A lot of what I do with Night Protection and the consulting piece is building cultures around safety and security. Well, that's with organizations that have been proactive in the past and are prepared currently for what's happening. A lot of these cultures and organizations don't know how to manage from home. They don't know how to let people work from home, right? So they're doing different things where they're just trying to play catch up. And that's not what you need to be doing right now. You already should have been prepared and not have this knee-jerk reaction of, oh, we don't know what to do with our employees, or we don't know what to do with our business, or we're just going to close our business. I've heard from several restaurant owners that are like, well, I don't know if we can survive the next 2 weeks. That's really the wrong answer. And I'm not a huge proponent of the mindset where you have to have 6 months or a year's worth of expenses. Yes, that's wise, but it's not really my guiding principles across how I operate in business. During these times, we're definitely comfortable. We're not going anywhere, so you definitely can prepare to see us after this epidemic. But I think as a business owner, you need to take this time, or as an entrepreneur or as a leader, you need to be taking this time and figuring out how you can come out better, how you can come out as an authority in this field. And I think people have been foolish up to this point. A recession was expected, right? They've been calling it for 2 years now, saying that at some point a recession was going to come. And now all of a sudden that we have the coronavirus, I think the recession is going to come right behind it, right? You're going to have markets crash, this whole 0% interest rate I think people are going to abuse and take advantage of, and it's going to create a bigger issue on the back end where there's going to be consequences. You know, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac are doing great things. You don't have to pay your mortgage for 2 months or whatever it may be. Well, that's going to catch up to the people that try to take advantage of that, right? Because they're not prepared for the long term. So it's kind of a bit of a tangent and a bit of a rant, but I'm going to come back on over the next few weeks while we're quarantined and talk about what I'm doing to build my brand, build my businesses, and build different things that will keep us sustainable. Just so y'all are all tracking the width of what we have. We have Night Protection Services, which is a security consulting firm. We have Be a Tactical Leader and the Tactical Leadership Podcast. That's a whole different brand on leadership and how to be a better leader and create better cultures through business. Then we also have our nonprofit, Surviving to Thriving. And we haven't really announced it heavily yet, but we have a conference we're hosting in September. And people are telling us, cancel the conference. Don't expect people to show up. But what kind of knee-jerk reaction would that be after we've put all this preparation into this huge conference about mindset, about resilience, about overcoming trauma? What service would we be doing to everybody that is interested in attending if we just tap in now or tap out now and cancel that event because we weren't prepared for it, right? So looks like I'm losing one of my videos. We're back. Perfect. Carter says people are being foolish, all right. And it's really true. You know, this knee-jerk reaction isn't serving anybody well. You should definitely be preparing. I know I put a post in Be a Tactical Leader where people, I was asking what they were doing, and the responses that I got were pretty bad. You know, oh, we're going to quarantine and chill, which is a funny joke until you actually do that for 2 weeks and you lose momentum, right? Or you're going to have your Corona vacation. That's what I've been calling it, is a Corona vacation. And if that's what you do and you spend your next couple weeks as a Corona vacation, I think you're really being foolish. One thing I'm gearing up for right now is a mastermind. We're looking to launch it in April. It'll be a leadership mastermind focused around leading through epidemics. So that's a huge thing. I'm trying to iron out the final details and get it out as soon as we can, because I think this is a huge time where we need to be focused on betterment and overcoming these obstacles and being prepared for these obstacles. That's huge. That's huge. You got to be prepared for these obstacles where, the great Michael Faber. I know he's gone on a couple tangents. He just jumped in on one of these one of the recordings I'm doing. And he's talked about the same thing. You got to be prepared for it, right? So what are you doing to prepare your business? And what are you doing to overcome this and come out on the other side of this as an authority? And I think that's where you really have to focus, is what are you going to do to overcome this epidemic and this setback, quote unquote, in your business, and how are you going to pivot? For me, with both Be a Tactical Leader, Tactical Leadership, and Night Protection, we're focused on safe work environments. Before, we really talked about secure work environments, but safety and security go hand in hand. So we're starting to implement different things with our clients that are focused on safe work environments and safe environments for clients, right? So we're able to talk about different things where clients are implementing different things that allows them to show their clients, their employees, anybody that's coming around their environment, that they're taking the extra steps necessary to better their location and show that they care about safety and security with their people. And that's going to bring clientele back sooner after this huge epidemic, right? So think about how you're going to do that with your organization. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Mike Faber, Heather is suggesting that we go live together and have a rant session about this type of thing. We'll definitely have to coordinate that. So y'all better be careful if Mike and I get on the line together. He had 2 great episodes on my podcast this week, and also had 2 great episodes on Heather's podcast. They happen to line up with each other. So definitely tune into those podcasts and listen to Michael Faber. He has a great message with Unleash You Now and Unleashing Your Inner Leader, among other things. So he's a phenomenal coach in life and with different things. All right, we got one message from Carter. So y'all know Carter was one of my soldiers in Afghanistan. The media is postponed. I know you've talked about this 2-week quarantine, but the media is postponed could last anywhere up to 18 months. Not saying it will, and of course it's the media hyping things, but given the scenario that it does last a lot longer than a couple weeks and say it lasts a few months, what's your opinion on that for local lives and businesses? 18 months would be a really long time for all of this to last. I know that's kind of like the hype moment right now. Mike Faber threw in a couple emojis about us going live together. I think 18 months is really unrealistic. I think you'd see a ton of government bailout happening. And and Queen, you can get a shout out to, buddy. I think it's unrealistic to think it's going to last 18 months. I don't think that's what you need to be preparing for right now. I think you need to be focused on the next 2 weeks. Let's look at the next 2 weeks. April 1, that's a little bit less than 2 weeks, but April 1, what are you doing? What's your game plan at April 1? If it goes past that, what's your game plan at May 1? I think you need to be focused on how you can open your doors sooner. So if you think about what that means, you're going to open your doors back to the public sooner. So these recommendations, like Mayor Bottoms, she sent out this whole shut down gyms, shut down bars, shut down restaurants, except for takeout, right? Well, if you look at what happened in Nashville, Kid Rock has a bar in Nashville that refused to close its doors. Cracks me up because it's a recommendation from the mayor that they close their doors, right? And then they argued that it's unconstitutional for the government to tell a private business you have to shut your doors. Totally agree with that. But what they need to be doing is gearing up. How can we make our environment safe for everybody to come back sooner, right? So that's what people need to be focusing on in the next 2 weeks. Is in April, what have you done come April to make your environment cleaner, safer, more secure for people to come back into, right? Gyms are going to be huge. I know I'm irritated that my gym's closed for the next 2 weeks. I know Heather is irritated that my gym's closed for the next 2 weeks because that's her quiet time, right? But and I go to LA Fitness. What is LA Fitness doing to make that environment safer and cleaner when people want to come back in, right? Local bars in the area, the Battery in Smyrna where the Brave Stadium is, what are they going to do in that entire area? What are they strategizing to let people know that they need to come back in? I think that's the true failure point, is that if people don't strategize this now and how they're going to come back in 2 weeks, because the 2 week shutdown is a requirement, right? So what are they going to do in 2 weeks to show, hey, we're ready for people to come back in? And if they say, oh, we're going to extend it another month, then you at least have a position to argue on it and say, no, we're ready to open our doors now. We've done this, this, and this to help clean our environment and provide a safe and secure environment to not further this situation, right? And I think that goes for businesses all across. So you have all these businesses that are switching to virtual and working from home, and they're not really prepared to manage that aspect of things. But they need to be thinking about what can we do for 2 weeks from now for our people to come back into work, right? Because there are too many things that are necessities. Banks need to be open. Grocery stores need to be open. Retail outlets need to be open. Gas stations need to be open, right? Because there's still people that need these things that they're providing. So we're going to have to prepare for that. Jim Fuse, who runs Fusion Marketing, he's also a local veteran that does all sorts of different marketing things. He said that it's going to be longer in his opinion, and it might be. I guess there's no real way to tell. China just announced today that they don't have any new cases for the entire day, so 24 hours and no new cases, which is huge since it came out of China and they have like 1.4 billion people, so it's easy to see how it spread like crazy there, right? I saw Georgia has 13 deaths now and like 250 cases. But it also doesn't help that all the quarantined cruise people are being shipped to Atlanta and then to Dobbins to be quarantined, right? So we're just going to have an influx. I think that's kind of a inflated number because we're like the focal point of things, right? So definitely keep that in mind. Look out for more content from me. I know the podcast I recorded earlier today with Saba Ali. She's a marketer, brand consultant. She dropped some amazing value. I'm going to try to bump that episode up a little bit so you can see what she's doing to help businesses fight through this PR issue. And then just keep an eye out for different content from me and from other people that are talking about things to do. So the next video is going to be actionable steps. Let's talk about actionable steps that businesses can take. And I appreciate y'all tuning in. If y'all have any questions, comments, concerns, anything else you want me to comment on, definitely leave it in the messages. And I look forward to talking to y'all soon.